This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in this week's episode, we're going to be going over a couple of different things, but we're going to talk about my Saturday night, and sometimes when you're not a big shot, you just have to sort of eat it, and that's what I had to do this past Saturday. But we had a backup plan, and I'll go ahead and explain that sort of later in the episode. But I tried to go to Esther's Kitchen and didn't go in, obviously. So we'll talk about that, a couple other places that I tried over the weekend, and a couple other things that kind of went over the first week of football. So we'll be diving into that coming up next. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and dive into the past weekend. So I ended up going to Esther's Kitchen, which is on Main Street, which I really wanted to try. So I've heard a lot of people in Las Vegas talking about how amazing Esther's Kitchen is, how awesome it is, how delicious it is, and I wanted to try it. So I got to Main Street, and I had to find parking, which honestly is one of the reasons why I kind of hate going to Main Street, is because the parking situation is absolutely god-awful. If you go to the Arts, there's like a sort of a square where they have a lot of the bars I like to go to. That place is not too bad to find parking. But if you're trying to find any parking along Main itself, it can be quite difficult, especially on the weekends. Just nature of the beast. So anyways, find parking. I pay for parking. Ends up being, it's like $5 or $6. It's not too bad. So I walk over to Esther's Kitchen, and I made sure to look through the windows. And in Esther's Kitchen, there were available bar top seats. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I know what I'm going to ask for when I get there. So when I get over to the hostess stand, I walk up to the hostess stand. I'm like, oh, just one. Just walking in. I'll sit at the bar. That's totally fine. And she looks at me, totally straight face, and says, oh, but I'm sorry, we're on a 2-hour wait to seat anyone. And I'm like, what are we doing? And again, this was obviously a place I've never been to, and you guys have obviously talked or heard me talk on these episodes in the past of walking into Delilah's, doing the $20 trick, and then that works. But that's because I've been there before, and usually I've seen those people, I've interacted with them, as a regular patron, and then as somebody who's a regular. I never like to tip like that on the first go round, especially when I'm trying to get what the actual feeling of that restaurant is, like a normal person. So I just said, okay, and then not even offering to put me on a wait list that was not even on the plan. So I walked out, and I did not eat at Esther's Kitchen. So now Esther's Kitchen, announced to all of you, is now on my shit list. Honestly, when you're a place that is not on the Strip or on Fremont Street and you have available bar top seating, and I get it's a very popular place. It's been on I believe Somebody Beat Feed Phil, which is on Netflix. And you're just turning away people to sit anywhere, essentially, especially at the bar. The bar is my biggest one. I'm not a huge fan. I will try Esther's Kitchen because I really want to see what people are talking about in town and see what the hype is all about. But I was not happy. I was not happy with that particular interaction. I also texted a lot of people that had told me to go to Esther's Kitchen, and then I told them about the situation, and they said, yeah, Esther's Kitchen tends to have a little bit of a slight pretentiousness to it for being one of the more popular spots on Main Street. But hey, it's okay to be the big fish in the little pond. So sorry, Esther's Kitchen. I will be back, I promise. I'll give you a fair shot, but in this particular point, I did not enjoy that. So this kind of dovetails into how I feel about reservations and bar tops. Bar top seating, wherever you go, anywhere in Las Vegas, anywhere in the world, unless it's a sushi bar, because that's very, very different. But essentially anything else, if it is a bar top seat, should not be open to reservations. If you're going to seat two people, seat them at an actual table. unless they said we want to sit at the bar top on the reservation, which how would we know that? The bar top should be open to singles and maybe walk-in guests. I think that is a basic function of restaurants. Again, everybody has a different way of getting people in. I understand some places like Delilah's, some places like Esther's Kitchen, see that as sort of an extension of a place to be able to sit for their reserved guests, which honestly shouldn't be the default. That's just me. So that's how I feel about it. That's just kind of the way it goes. So moving on. By the way, I had a coworker. Her name is she works. I'm not gonna say her name. She works at where I work. She's one of the hosts who loves Esther's Kitchen. She swears by Esther's Kitchen. And said, "Well, didn't you go to the bar up top?" And I said, "No, I'm not patronizing this place that told me that I can't eat dinner there. I'm not going to try to give them any money that night. They are my money spigot is cut off to that restaurant until I eat a normal meal there. That's just that's how it works. I don't think it's okay to do that." And again, there's different ways to go about this, but that's the way I am because I'm spiteful and I hold really good grudges because that's the way that it works. So with that being said, I got back in my car, went up the street, and I finally tried a new place called the Doberman Drawing Room, which those of you who follow Vegas pretty closely know that this is a new sort of like members-only bar in downtown. And honestly, you can still make public reservations if you just go online to their website, the Doberman Las Vegas. It's technically called the Doberman Drawing Room. Go to the website. They have public reservations or public times or something of that nature. Click on it, and when you go in there, you can book a time. You usually can book really any time available. There's usually never like super duper blackout dates, but they have plenty of availability. I did have a coworker that got an email from them, and I'm sure I'll get one sometime soon, that I believe membership for the drawing room or the Doberman is $3,000 a year, and I think it's a $700 sign up, or initiation fee, as some members would know. But honestly, at this point, if you're still able to just make a public reservation, I recommend that. It's a very pretty room. It's very like eclectic. It's very much fits in with the vibe of Main Street. Very artsy. Very like sort of, it feels medieval, but also kind of like just like an amalgamation of a unique place. But very dark, very moody, great for dates. It's really fantastic for dates. And a really unique sort of setup. When you walk inside, they have a beautiful sort of rectangular bar, cut in the middle by sort of like this pillar. And then they also have booth seating. They have tabletop seating in the back. It's also sectioned off, so you can kind of be hidden a little bit if you're on like a date or something. And you can also sit at the bar, which is where I sat at. So, I did make a reservation there just because I know of how the system is. But there were people that walked right in and just were able to go in and sit down. Not a big deal. So, you can always try your luck. They don't enjoy hats in there, but I also saw a guy with shorts. I'm a big like anti-shorts guy. I think shorts are so stupid. But I know I'm weird about that. I think shorts when you go out. Like, I think even if you're in Las Vegas and it's approaching like the 6 or 7 o'clock hour in the evening, shorts should be out of the system. Shorts should not be on the docket for that day. So with that being said, sat down, I looked through their menu, which their menu is quite artsy-fartsy. So if you're somebody who enjoys very pretentious cocktails, this is the place for you. They're basically twists on old favorites, but they also have some unique stuff in there. Maybe a little too unique for my taste, but I did have their version of, say, an old fashioned, but I did try it with a different alcohol, which was an Old Fitzgerald, which was quite good, very, very balanced. Lots of unique flavors on that particular whiskey, but it was really good. I really enjoyed the bartender that I had when he actually made that drink. But the problem is that we started to sort of plan out the evening of what I was going to drink, and then he would disappear forever, and we had other bartenders there, but it was not the one that I had this discussion with. And I was really disappointed because then I had to just get another, because then you start sort of, he caught my vibe. I kind of figured out the vibe that he's going for, and he's, very much a mixologist, likes to make things, likes to sort of talk you through it. And that's a good cocktail. That's a good bartender. It's a good mixologist, bartender, whatever you want to say. But the one problem was that he walked away because he's helping the rest of the bar itself. And then I'm stuck with these two new guys where I'm trying to have the same conversation and it is not clicking. We are not on the same wavelength. And you kind of you finish your cocktail and you need another one. And the guy who's serving you kind of doesn't care. So you just order similar things to what you just ordered. So in the long run, I only had 2 cocktails, but they do have a good selection of cocktails to choose from, whether it be gin, martinis. They also have whiskey and rum cocktails, tequila, which I think is actually quite good. But would highly recommend the Doberman Drawing Room if you're going to be going to Vegas on, let's just say, a date, or if you're living in Las Vegas, I think it's worth it just to try it out. The cocktails, yes, are $20 and up. They're like $20, $24. And of course, depending on the spirit you get, it could be much higher than that. But overall, I had a good experience. I'm just sad about the cocktail, the bartender himself walking away so often, which made me leave that particular bar a little bit earlier than I wanted to. And I was able to mosey on over to Nocturno, which is my old faithful in Main Street, and got a seat at the bar and had a few cocktails, including their chicken fingers. Their chicken fingers are fine. They're not my style of chicken fingers that I like. I like them a little less meaty, if that makes any sense. I like a lot more of the batter. I know I'm a weirdo. Like Dairy Queen chicken fingers, fire. But they were good. I think they're really good to share. Highly recommend sharing those. I had 2 cocktails. I had, what did I have? One of them was like just a regular old fashioned, and then the other one was made by my man Lou. Shout out to Lou, just actually doing business. He made me a cocktail that I can't remember the name of, which I'm really pissed about because he made it so good. But just go check out Lou over at Nocturno. He's the best bartender in the city. I made this proclamation at least twice at the bar in front of his face that he is the best bartender in all of Las Vegas, and that was Lou Lopez over at Nocturno. So after that happened, we went and enjoyed the rest of our weekend. I ended up going and watching football games at Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is off the strip, so unfortunately you can't do that. But if you are coming to town, again, I would highly recommend places like Tilt Kilt. They do have a lot of TVs, kind of a standard sports bar. And once you're done with it, you can go to the American Bar, which is right across the way as well. So I was actually talking to a couple different people that were visiting in town because I went golfing and all this other stuff. And they were going to the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, just so everybody's aware, runs 3 shows a day. So from 2, 4, and 8 o'clock, I believe, are the times. Sorry, 2, 5, and 8 o'clock are the times you can go see Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is essentially playing for a couple of months, is charging about a little over $200 per person, some $350 if you're going to be sitting in the prime seating of the Sphere when you watch the Wizard of Oz itself. My only thing about not wanting to see the Wizard of Oz, which you guys have probably learned at this point, a very huge movie person. I love film, and it feels sort of like you are going against what everybody would have wanted or wants from the Wizard of Oz, which is you like the old sets, you like the 1939 look of it. But now they've sort of replaced a lot of that stuff with AI. So now you get a lot of the, Sphere or 2001ification of the Wizard of Oz, where you no longer see the outdated backdrops. You see this whole brand new thing. It's also interactive. They do have apples that fall from the sky, which has become super popular online. They have the giant twister that happens when you see the tornado in the movie The Wizard of Oz. And I had my friend go, and she said it was absolutely fantastic. It's really one of those really fun experiences that you only get in Las Vegas, especially if you're only going to the Sphere. And it's a really great way to get into the Sphere to see what it looks like on the inside before you come back to see, your next favorite artist. But overall, the Wizard of Oz theme is interesting. That's all I have to say is that it's interesting, and I'll probably check it out at some point in the next couple weeks. And last but not least, just before we get out of here, I do want to give a shout out to a listener who messaged me on the gram, and he actually listened to our Pasadena episode. John, we won't say your last name, but John W., who ended up going to Pasadena for the Oasis concert, which I don't think they're actually scheduled to play in Las Vegas. A lot of days in LA though, but they ended up going to the bar that I went to, which was the 35er bar in Pasadena. And then they finished watching the football game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. So this was a Friday, excuse me. And then they ended up going down to the Speakeasy and took a picture. And it's exactly where I sat. So John W., you are actually sitting in the exact same seat that I sat in when I went to the Speakeasy below the 35er bar. Oh my goodness, I forgot the name of it, but it's so cool. It's such a fun experience to go down there. So you go down like one set of stairs, which actually goes from like a sports bar. It's such a cool design. You go from a sports bar, really high-end, great sports bar, really fantastic. Lots of TVs, great vibes. The people there are just super chill. The bartenders are great. Then you go down to like a tiki bar, and the tiki bar, very tiki vibes, like very, very much so, which is really fun. And then from there is a phone booth, totally nondescript. It's just a phone booth. Close the phone booth, make the call, and then they open the door from the inside, and then you're into the Speakeasy, which is very small, and like the right size, very much the right size for a Speakeasy. It's got about, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 round tables, sort of small round tables just for cocktails. Perfect size. Usually a bartender and a bar back. It's very moody. It's very dark. Lots of cocktails on the wall. Fantastic. And the drinks were phenomenal. And the bartender is very talented because, again, you sort of test them by saying, hey, can you make this? And they make it, and boom, we're in. So I'm just really happy that John was able to make it out and check out the Speakeasy beneath the 35er lounge or bar. And yeah, there we go. My trip to Pasadena yielded one person to be able to use the information. So we'll probably be back sometime later in the week, going over some of the things that have kind of been on my mind in terms of, best games to play in a casino, how you should sort of maybe budget, and that kind of thing. So anyways, thank you so much for listening, everybody. I know this is a shorter episode, but we'll be back right again tomorrow with another episode talking about something at some point. So feel free to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, or just leave a like, or you can comment on this particular episode. Hopefully it's a good rating. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Make sure if you come to town and you see me, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.